Greetings, sir and sirettes, and welcome back to From the Depths with me, Lathrix, and of course, welcome back to a very sad, very floaty warlord. In today's episode, sadly, we won't be doing what I was originally planning to do at the end of the previous video, which of course was to convert this lovely warlord, or create a different vehicle entirely, to send against the Grey Talons and the new faction. This is because, sadly, over the weekend, I just don't have time to do this. I have a lot of family issues which have arose out of nowhere, and normally it takes me a lot of hours to do the conversion work. So instead, and to make sure we actually have a video this weekend, we are just going to be killing things, which I'm hoping you can appreciate too, because I certainly can. So we will be facing off with the things we already own. Now this wasn't actually intentional, so we're starting off with a fight by accident. The very damaged word bearer versus the last enemy base, or at least the last enemy base we can currently see. Either way, we do need to kill these two just to make sure there's not a Grey Talon base hiding up there. Okay, now, you're actually really badly damaged, so World Eater, can you please shift on over? Same with you, Malal's Will. So, the next enemy we are going to face really has to be either the Twin Guard or the Steel Striders, and I have never faced off against these Steel Striders before, so I think that would be our natural choice. We also, of course, have the Onyx Watch, but we would never threaten them. We will defend them with nukes on their border, but we would never hurt our lovely allies to the west. Okay, the World Eater made it and will be taking the place of the Word Bearer. Now, one thing I do want to say is that the World Eater is actually showing some of the symptoms that the Bloodthirster does, in that its PID system doesn't seem to be acting correctly. Now, the thing is, I've asked about 7 people, I've looked at the Discord, I've looked at everywhere, and I get a lot of mixed responses with this. The patch notes, as far as I can see, don't really say much about this, and I've looked over them a few times now briefly. So I will be figuring out what interaction is going wrong with the airships, because although the World Eater isn't really affected, it sometimes tilts a lot more than it ever has. It could be the thrusters, it could be the engines. Honestly, there are so many interactions within From the Depths, it could be any of those. So if you see the World Eater acting interestingly, I am aware. I just can't do much about it now. So, there is a Cerberus there. Was that there before? I don't know. Either way, World Eater, do your thing, buddy. Glorious, glorious laser damage. So there's the Cerberus. The main cannon seems to be focusing on the main floaty part of the building, which it took out the AI of. No, it didn't. That was the thing behind. Laser defense system, please do your thing. Thank you. We've taken some damage from some advanced cannon fire. As you can see by the blocks falling from my laser section, which is rather annoying. Okay, the tree itself is too no, it's not. That was the thing behind it again. Apparently, I have no spatial awareness. Now it's too damaged. The Cerberus is AI dead. Now, a lot of people have also commented that the lasers are too powerful. The lasers are an overpowered beast at the moment, and I actually agree. Although, I do believe that the Scarlet Dawn does have a bit better laser defense. I may be wrong there. But either way, I will be striving to use non-lasers in the future. For instance, the World Eater, the Warlord, why do I always forget that thing's name? Of course, will be keeping its particle cannons, and I likely will be giving it advanced cannons similar to the Bloodthirster. So, less lasers there. I've also actually messed around with the Warlord and changed its particle cannons from impact over to piercing, and honestly, they seem to do a lot better. Originally, I thought the Warlord was using piercing, but apparently it wasn't. And oh my god, that's an unlimited resource zone. Really now? Okay then, Warlord, not you. Where did I put the Bloodthirster? Because the Bloodthirster has a lot of repair tentacles. You get there, and I can make one of my lovely Blood Altars, which will then be able to siphon the resources away. Absolutely lovely. Actually, we do have a couple of Blood Altars just doing nothing right now, but I guess that's just going to happen. Okay, so let's take out this tile, and then put one of our vehicles, our lovely balloon vehicles, right in the corner, and hopefully we can see over here. Or we could take out this one, and that would pretty much guarantee it. Okay, let's do that instead. So, Malal's Will, I like seeing you fight, since we haven't seen you for quite some time until the last episode, so you can move on over here, and I also like seeing the Word Bearer fight. The Malal's Will is ridiculously slow. It's definitely one of the designs I really need to completely remake. Or at least one of the designs that needs the most work. Honestly, I'm not happy with how it looks anyway at the moment, especially in comparison to some of the later builds, so I think it will be perhaps a full remake, and will most likely be either the Zeech or the Nurgle of the Grand Four Chaos Gods. I am, however, tempted to make the Warlord the Nurgle version, since it's so big and bulky and slow, and has not the best firepower, but really good defenses. It also makes a lot of sense to me. Okay, very possibly the last battle against the Grey Talons. We will be using the Malal's Will, and we will also be using the World Eater. Or perhaps we will use the Word Bearer instead. Yeah, come on, Word Bearer, let's go and do your thing. So what are we facing off against? Nothing too big. Now, I'm both disappointed in this and slightly happy. The reason is... Oh, I'm actually very disappointed in this. I wanted something large to hit. The reason is, the Malal's Will is currently, of course, using the Hesh shells, which I've not really used before, and apparently since the update hit, according to a few people, they are actually a very good option now. So let's go ahead, let's go and start the fight. There we go. Please actually hit target so we can see what happens. Oh, I love that volley. Okay, stop time. Let's see what's happening. Now, they should be causing internal damage if they actually get through the shields, and that's the problem with the Hesh shells. Now, I was actually wrong about something before. When it comes to the heat shells, they get a sort of free pass until they actually hit the target. Only then do they get affected by air. Well, the actual explosive damage is doing something at least, as it still has inertial fuses, but overall that wasn't exactly all that impressive. Okay, let's turn on the Word Bearer. I wanted to give the Malal's Will a few seconds. Okay, the one hit, though, did loads. And then there's the laser from the Word Bearer. Once again, proving that I need to move away from lasers. Word Bearer, is your detection system a little bit too slow? Oh, that was lovely, though. That one side hit caused so much internal damage. It was really hard to see, so it was probably very difficult to see over on YouTube, but essentially the shell hit around here before it all disappears, and it caused damage over here. That was lovely. So yeah, maybe Hesh is better than it used to be, but saying that, I never really gave it a fair chance anyway, so... Oh! This is why we need to upgrade the Malal's Will, everyone. Because it's made of wood. It's very easy to hit. We lost 3 turrets. Well, 4 turrets, actually. No, 3 turrets. 1, 2, 3. Just large explosions. That's the only metal the ship has around this center core. My lord. Okay, yeah. The Malal's Will, I love you. I love your guns. I'll probably reuse them and simply recreate them slightly. But my god, you need to be changed into a full metal cask. Metal cask? What am I even talking about? I want you to have metal on you. Okay, so there is definitely not a base up in the north, so now we are going to have a look at the south and see if there's anything in this area here. This is the last area we haven't scouted, so it's the last place it can possibly be. I will be kind of happy if there's a base there, and kind of annoyed at the same time, since that simply means the last area we looked for is the last area it actually is located. There is also this tiny little resource zone, hardly even worth actually building anything for, so it'll be nice to take it, but nothing really else. Okay, here we go then, let's see what is in this tile. Very slow moving. It is the Thunderclap and the Lazarus. Oh boy, that is going to be a lot of health to chew through. Okay, what do I want where? Bloodthirster. stay quite far back. I don't trust you, honestly. You might just sink in this battle. I don't know what's wrong with you, but it isn't good. The other two, just do this, so you're not going to take damage from each other, and the enemy will have a bit more difficulty actually focusing on you. Let's max it out so the enemy can spawn in as well, so everything is spawning in. And let's just go straight into the fight. Well, apparently there's actually a little bit of lore here. So first of all, before the fight, the Sirens Call Forest. These ancient sea trees have long, thin branches waving in the current. These branches are covered in large, leafy, seaweed-like leaves that are not only useful building material, but also excellent in a soup, if boiled long enough. The lore of From the Depths, everyone. I dislike the new engine sounds as well. Okay, so combat, everything on. Okay. Don't need these to be on, these are the dead ones. Okay, all good. Did everything spawn in correctly on both sides? I'm seeing one laser being fired. Where is the Bloodthirster? Oh, I see. Since the Lazarus spawns in additional things, apparently that messed up the battle size. That should now... Okay, yep, the Bloodthirster is there. Let's make sure that is also on. That would be fantastic. Well, it looks like it is, because that's one of its lasers. There we go. Okay, so what do we have on the enemy team? As we know, we have the Lazarus, and we have the Thunderclap. Okay, what I would like you all to focus on is the Lazarus. Purely because it's not the tankiest of crafts. I would say it's actually pretty frail for its size, even though it does look utterly freaking amazing. But it does have really nasty cram cannons, so taking those out would be really helpful. So don't focus on the small ones, just every single shot you can, please aim at the Lazarus. The Thunderclap will be second. Actually, after this, just focus on the small targets as usual. Okay, the Bloodthirst is actually doing its job pretty well. Although they are actually focusing on the Bloodthirster, darn it. Yeah, if that thing sinks, I won't be amazed at all. Thankfully, it is very far away, so it is avoiding most of those shots. Lasers being shot everywhere. Okay, the Lazarus is looking very, very bad. Absolutely wonderful for us. Oh, that is a volley. That is a serious volley. And the Bloodthirster is... Is it going down? Yes, it is. Oh, Lord. It's doing that weird dive it keeps doing. Again, I don't quite know what's going wrong here. I won't say it's the PID. I won't say anything, actually, because I don't really know. But either way, please focus now on this bugger.
Engaging now.
Thank you. Oh. Wordbearer taking a little bit of a beating there as well. Yep, the Bloodthirster is in the water. Like I said, that's not shocking me in the slightest. Oh, that's so sad. Shouldn't have brought it into a battle, honestly. I just wanted it to have one good battle. What's wrong with the Wordbearer? What's wrong with your back tail, buddy? Any reason why it's not firing? Let's have a quick look-see. No, you all look attached. Not quite sure what's going on there, but something's turned off the tail laser, which is the main laser of the Wordbearer, which is very annoying. Okay, the shells from the World Eater is doing quite a bit, which is great. There we go, the front laser from the Wordbearer. Okay, that looks really odd. A couple of cram shots. The Thunderclap is kind of skimming across the water now, which looks very interesting. Let's just say that. It looks very interesting. Smoke taking away quite a bit of damage, but thankfully we do have the wavefront adjusters. Although now, every layer of smoke does cause the laser to get progressively weaker. Not down to 0%. Okay, that looks kind of awesome, but still progressively weaker. Maybe I should jump on board. I can see this thing losing its AI very, very soon. Thank you. Being thrown forwards there by the Wordbearer. Well, that was a landing. Just smacked my head against their missile launcher. That seems reasonable. Well, I'm on board in case the AI gets destroyed. I'm not going to try and bore into this thing. What are you doing, Word Bearer? Hey, Word Bearer, just fleet move. Get out of there. Thank you. Must have lost some of its turning thrusters to go so close to the enemy like that. Its AI is set to keep it quite far back, so that was quite surprising. How am I not being killed? Oh dear lord, that was the laser from the Word Bearer. Oh, okay, moving. Killed. Yep. Jumped on a bit early there, didn't I? Looks like we have actually lost the Bloodthirster. Again, not a huge shock, sadly. This was not a clean battle. This was not a clean battle at all. The Word Bearer is badly damaged. We lost the Bloodthirster. And the World Eater's quite happy, though. The World Eater's quite happy. Nope, sadly the enemy is too damaged, not AI dead, so I wouldn't have captured it anyway. So you there, the World Eater. No, the Bloodthirster is still there, apparently. At 100% health. What happened there? Oh, it must have just healed, I suppose, over time, just in the water. Let's just pause time, allow that to vanish, and then the only enemy left is this little thing over there, which is practically killed anyway. Are you the one with the giant cram on the top, or at least normally? No, you're not. I'm assuming then you're part of the Lazarus group? Was part of the Lazarus group. Yeah, those shells are from the Bloodthirster. That there is the Bloodthirster. And we are done. Okay, Bloodthirster, get out of the water, please. You have some serious problems at the moment. So, once again, minor damage caused this thing to simply sink, whereas before, we've seen on camera, it take 50% health loss and still fly. Even when very vulnerable sections are taken out. Very important sections, in fact. So, not too sure what's going on here with the Bloodthirster, but hopefully I can fix it in the future. Yes, indeed, there is a base here, and of course there is a resource zone. So if we are lucky, there might be another unlimited resource zone, which would be absolutely amazing. We are already getting resources very quickly. Adding one more resource zone to the list would be just phenomenal. Now, of course, this does mean it is actually protecting a resource zone, so we can't just leave this base anyway, otherwise it will keep on creating forces. Although, even on ×2 enemy growth factor, that is really, really slow. And of course, that's because it's the last resource zone they own. Malal's Will, you are so freaking slow compared with everything else we own. As a side note, here we are with the Warlord finally repaired to fight a few fights against the Grey Talons. Now, I know a lot of people are a bit unhappy when I fight a simple captured ship without any modifications against the enemy, but considering we are going to be changing this really quite drastically off camera after this video, I think it's just going to be a bit of fun to see how this behemoth actually fares against its own faction. Okay, so the next battle will actually include the Warlord, which is going to be really weird. I am on the side of most people saying that I shouldn't be using the ships as they are, but like I explained, I am really looking forward to seeing the Warlord versus its own faction. So I think the Warlord should go over here, grab this group, pull it back, and then we can fight it with the Malal's Will and the World Eater. Okay, so here we go with the fight, and amazingly, we are fighting an enemy I don't think we have seen before, the Morning Star, a volume of almost 10,000, however, a cost of almost 160,000, and there are actually 2 of them in addition to a lot of wasps. I don't think we've seen the wasps either, so this is going to be a very interesting fight indeed. We have the Word Bearer. Actually, you know what? I think we're going to take the word bearer out because it's not currently healed, and instead, let's remove that as well. There we go. The World Eater, the Warlord, and the Malal's Will. I think using the two more broken designs isn't really the most fun. So Malal's Will, of course, starts off with a broadside, if you would be so kind. We have the Warlord over here, and we have the Word Bearer very, very far away. Let's jump on to the Warlord. Here we are into the battle, so let's have a quick look-see if the wasps are indeed designs we have seen before. I'm going to say no. I would have remembered that design. What a weird concept. I absolutely love it. I always love designs which don't go down the normal route of building. So let's have a quick look-see. Let's make sure that is indeed the wasp. Yep, it certainly is. So it has two advanced cannons. I'm sorry if it's a bit dark. Sadly, once again, we are in the tiles which are completely consumed by fog. So they have these two little towers which contain the weapon itself. Advanced cannons, maybe 50mm, 66mm, either way, they're very, very small. Missiles on the side, or maybe torpedoes, hard to tell from just this dark look. Hopefully I have brightened it for the YouTube video, because for me it's like almost complete black. And then a missile at the back of some kind, most likely anti-missile. What a truly unique design. I like that, honestly. Again, I love designs which don't go with the normal method. Then we have the two center designs, the two morning stars, which are just cram cannons on top of cram cannons. Now, hopefully, they don't have laser defense, because if they don't have laser defense, the cram cannons are going to detonate very, very quickly. Missiles at the back, by the looks of things, very short range. Okay, so begin! Here come the lasers. Focusing on one of the wasps, of course, because I do tend to focus on the smaller. However, I would like you to focus on one of the morning stars. Okay, everyone is definitely spawned in. Okay, one of the wasps is already AI dead. And by the looks of things, that was actually from the Warlord. I'm hoping they focus on the Warlord, which they are, which is absolutely fantastic. The Warlord is definitely the most defensive of our current craft. A large explosion there on the Malal's Will. Hopefully not doing too much. The issue with the Malal's Will, of course, is that it's made mostly out of wood, so any major area of effect damage can really cripple it very quickly. Things like lasers, however, tend to have a tough time because of how many layers it has. Oh, that is beautiful. I do love the new explosion effects. Okay, the World Eater is definitely claiming the most damage, but the Warlord has done a fair bit of damage as well. It's very hard to tell, though. That is one of the issues with the particle cannons. There we go, firing and killing the enemy. It's very hard to tell when the particle cannon actually fires. It doesn't have quite the effect of the other weapons. It's why I've tended to go away from them in addition to submarines, because it doesn't have the visual effect. Not so good for videos. Good for just randomly playing around, but when you're trying to make a video, it's less than ideal. The Malal's Will killing one of the wasps there very, very effectively, and a missile swarm from the Warlord just about reaching it, doing a little bit of damage. But it's already AI dead, and there it goes down. And the battle is finished. So the Malal's Will took a little bit of damage. It has lost a couple of its small cram cannons, but it's doing okay. The Warlord is looking fine, which is to be expected, although it is costing us a fortune to keep going. So let's go ahead and pull all. There we go. And actually, the Word Bearer and the World Eater have both taken some damage. Of course, the Word Bearer is from before, the World Eater's from now. Okay, a little bit of a mistake there. I was looking at the wrong numbers. The World Eater is absolutely fine. Although, once again, the Warlord's cost is absolutely ridiculous. I think when it comes to the Warlord, I will be altering its engines. I do love steam engines, they're my favourite by far, but the cost when it comes to very, very powerful engines is a little bit too much. We went all the way down to only 1,000 resource there, almost solely because of the Warlord's cost. I love the Warlord, easily one of my favourite designs, definitely in my top 10, maybe in my top 5. But as a player, rather than a faction, it's a little bit too expensive. So now we've defeated that, let's go ahead, let's go to the enemy base. What I'm going to do is only spawn in the Warlord. Although it's very expensive, I want to see it in action all on its own. It's easily my favourite design, at least in terms of the style of it, but so far I'm not a huge fan in terms of its effectiveness. So World Eater, please come nice and close, since you do have your radar as well, thank you. Now I'm hoping this zone doesn't have a strength. Please don't be God. Oh, you are. I just want to kill this. Is this so wrong? Actually, I probably could. Okay, let's see how this goes. If we're lucky, if we stay in this area, we might not trigger this strength 150. If we do that, we could go ahead and simply move on over to the Steel Striders, which will sadly over time cause us to go to war with the Twin Guard, but hopefully not until we've taken some of their resource zones. Although honestly, the Twin Guard and the Steel Striders are factions I don't really know all that much about. I definitely know more about the Twin Guard, but the Steel Striders, there is only one ship I know about, which was made by Roseful, a fellow YouTuber, which is essentially an aircraft carrier, if you want to call it that. It has other vessels with it. I have fought that before with one of my very, very old designs, but that was almost a year ago. Well then, here we are, the Warlord versus the very last base, and thankfully, this is actually the base which has been spawning the same group of ships, or group of vehicles, which has spawned the Warlord in the first place, the Battered Ram, or at least I believe that's where the Warlord came from. I may be mistaken, but it will be nice if that's actually true. So let's see how the Warlord does. Now, this will most likely cost all of our resources. The Warlord is truly a great vehicle to be used by the faction, because the faction has unlimited resources during a battle to constantly feed the steam engines. For a player, however, the Warlord costs thousands of resources almost every second. So there is a lot of things we do need to change with the Warlord, but considering I would like one final battle with it in its current form, I think this is a very fitting battle indeed. Here we go with the initial battle. Sadly, as always, once a battle starts, it seems like the detection systems don't quite start as the battle begins. So here we are with one of the cannons firing absolutely nowhere. So when it comes to the enemies, honestly, I feel like focusing on the smaller targets are more important, and then focusing on the main base over here. So let's begin properly. And you there, please target. Incoming the missile swarm from the Warlord, and by the looks of things, that shot did a lot of damage. And down goes you. Yeah, I'm not overly happy with the particle cannon of the Warlord. I think it is good, but once again, for the limited time you can actually spawn the Warlord in, it's not quite good enough. What on earth were you aiming at? Actually, yeah, let's focus on this. Let's take out the main base as soon as possible. Plus, the cannon will likely do a lot better versus that, although the cannon just completely took out that entire segment. Are you not paying attention to my commands? Apparently you're not. Okay then. Once again, taking out a whole segment from that cannon section and incoming the missiles. I do feel like the Warlord is definitely one of the designs I need to do the most work with of all of the designs I've stolen so far. I just feel like the particle cannons in their current state, it's just not enough. It can beat a lot of other designs, but that's purely because of its defenses, which cost so much. If you look at our materials currently, we are already down to 23,000. Yeah, this isn't going to end well. If I surrender now... Okay, good. Clearly the Warlord isn't good enough for that. The Warlord is a truly magnificent vehicle, but it's clearly built for factions and nothing else. So, World Eater, I'm afraid you are going to have to take the reins here. Maybe Impact was actually better than Piercing. Maybe I was wrong in the first place, but the Warlord so far hasn't lived up to expectations, and I honestly think, once again, that's mostly because it's meant to be a faction craft that counters very large player craft, and that doesn't translate well to a player using it against the factions. It's just being heavily countered. So here we are with the World Eater instead using its regular lasers, which you can see doing far, far better. And of course the advanced cannons of doom. The World Eater definitely being the more powerful of all of the creations I currently own. And they level up, thank you very much. Actually, speaking of which, a lot of people were asking if I am currently on 100% difficulty, and here you can see I definitely am. I think it's because the lasers seem to be even more powerful in this current update, so a few people were doubting if I were actually using regular difficulty, which is fair enough. Question all you see and all that good stuff. The difference between the Warlord and the World Eater is very obvious. Yeah. 2 damage sustained by repairs. Could you just kill that instead, please? That would be lovely. Thank you. And there we are, the last resource zone, and once again, it is indeed an unlimited resource zone, so we are going to have to fight the 150 strength. Oh dear. There we go, we are drawing the next enemy out of its area, and we do have the Thunderclap, and the... I don't even know what that is, and something else hidden behind that section. Either way, though, the Wasp, once again. Now that we've seen the Wasp, apparently it's everywhere. So, since the enemy is so slow, I guess what would be best to do is move you all the way over here with the rest of my group, and let's go and nuke the White Flyers. It's been a long time since we've used our nukes, so why not? Well, here we go, the nukes versus the Ripper and a series of martyrs, which of course also have nukes attached to them. Now this is going to send off warning signals to pretty much every faction nearby, especially the Steel Striders. So yeah, a lot of radiation is about to happen. Since most of the enemies have nukes, we have nukes, it's nukes for absolutely everyone. Let's begin. And begin, thank you very much. Let's make sure we do go against the Ripper first. The martyrs will kill themselves, at the corpses of our nukes. So all we need to ensure is that this thing here dies, which shouldn't be too difficult. It's not exactly the largest of craft in the world.
Engaging now.
There we go, just to make sure. Oh, one of the nukes did get set off early, but here come the others swarming around, and it's already AI dead. So now here are the martyrs versus the nukes. It's just going to be ramming each other until everything is dead. And this is why I don't use the nukes anymore. Battle finished. That was the quickest fight ever. Well then. Okay, I didn't expect it to be over that quickly, I admit. Either way, though, we have made a nice clear line against the Steel Striders once we are done with this fight, so that we once again own an unlimited resource zone. Although this is only 1 per second, either way, every unlimited resource zone simply stacks up and we get a lot of money for it. What are you doing? You're moving to here, then you're moving over there. Okay, we simply intercept. Okay, so a few changes of plan. Sadly, we can't really intercept because they are going through these 2 strength 150 areas. So we're waiting until they get near here so we can see what they're doing, and then maybe we will intercept here instead. And I think that's what we're going to do. The enemies we are seeing are not exactly enemies we are really worried about. So if we can get, let's say, the Warlord, the Bloodthirster, and the World Eater down to here, we should win. Now, of course, the Warlord is a bit too expensive, so maybe not. But sadly, all of the sea-bearing craft, even if we change them to airborne, simply get stuck. We could bring the Bloodthirster, but once again, it is a little bit broken at the moment. So move over here, we will add some resource harvesters, and you can be our harvester for the moment. Now the hover bases, the 2 little hover tanks we have, can you get through? Oh, that is so close, but probably not. Can we do that? Yes, we can. Okay, a little bit cheaty there, going like that, but that's fine by me. Wordbearer, can you do the same? Excellent. And then World Eater. Okay, that seems reasonable. Well, here we go then. Possibly the very last battle versus the Grey Talons. On the enemy team, we have the Thunderclap, an enemy I simply can't pronounce, and the Wasp. On our team, we have 2 of our hover tanks, which I really need to rename, the World Eater and the Word Bearer. Honestly, a lot of weird names. So, let's go ahead, grab the World Eater. Let's put you over here. And then with one of the hover tanks, let's put you all the way over here and the other tank over here. I think that should be okay. So let's go ahead and begin the battle. We should win this with minimal casualties, although we may lose the 2 hover tanks. Although, considering they are only around about 15,000 resource, it's not exactly a huge loss. It's like losing a couple of nukes, honestly. Nukes with really interesting miniguns. Okay, let's pause time. Combat mode for everything. I am actually on the wrong vehicle right now. I don't trust myself to be on one of those. Once again, the camera really hating me, and let's jump onto you instead. Okay, that's better. A lot more safe. So, what should we focus on? I think the Thunderclap is the biggest threat, although I do understand the lasers going after the smaller target first, which of course is the Wasp. There we go, the Wasp is already being absolutely obliterated. So now, let's focus on you. You are not the Thunderclap, that is the wrong target. You instead, please. Oh no, one of our tanks has already been sunk. The other tank is simply floating away happily, currently shooting at the Thunderclap. And doing, once again, more damage than I would expect. Very slow kinetic shells actually do pretty well versus shields. Not good enough to say they counter shields, but oh dear, they do well enough. My lord, that is a lot of cram shells heading towards the World Eater. Thankfully, of course, it does have the laser defense system, so let's see just how well it does. I am focusing on this a bit too much, but even so, I am very keen to see how this plays out. Come on, stop them. Okay, it stopped all of them. That is actually amazing. Okay, really happy to see that. Word bearer, I'm going to pretend you're not currently locked in the ground and pretend you're fighting normally. At least you're firing at the enemy shells. So you're doing something. So, you know, you're doing something. It's okay. The thunderclap is currently tipping over, so not really looking its best. A lot of cram shells from our forces, which is fine by me. Although there is the other flyer as well, the one I simply can't pronounce. Okay, the thunderclap is in a position, it's no longer a true threat. So let's focus on the other target, if you can, please. The laser there instantly doing some damage, although by the looks of things it is releasing smoke. The hover tank is still operational. Absolutely lovely, and doing quite a bit of damage to the back section there. The missiles incoming from... oh my god, look at all that EMP. EMP, a word I cannot say apparently. Either way though, it did quite a bit there, causing it to really go off course. Thunderclap is still fighting, just struggling. There we go, the second enemy has now been flipped as well. Why do both of them flip rather than change in pitch? I don't know, but either way it looks really, really dramatic, so I'm completely fine with that. Word bearer, you are hurting yourself doing this, but I completely approve. That looks absolutely freaking awesome. Now that's the way to end the last battle with the Grey Talons. That hurt you so much, but is so cool. Word bearer, you're firing at the ground. The word bearer does not handle that very well. Okay, both tanks I believe have been defeated though. Not a huge surprise. Honestly, they were there mostly as a distraction force, so okay, that enemy is AI dead. So if you could focus on the other enemy, that would be glorious. Oh wow, really? The thunderclap did so well this time. In our first few battles with the thunderclap, it went down significantly faster. Maybe it knows the end is near, and it simply wants to take us with it. I at least respect that. Fighting until the very end. Okay, fine, I will use the other map. And there we go. Honestly, not much happened between the last clip and this, although the World Eater was actually living up to its name, trying to eat the mountains themselves. Now, sadly, there's not too many ways with the AI to actually ignore the terrain. Maybe there's some Lua scripts, but I do try to ignore them so I can actually explain how I create my creations, and don't need to go into the script form. But either way, we did eventually win, although we did lose both of our hovercraft. So the thunderclap really did live up to its name at the end, and did do exceedingly well. Well, that's that. The Grey Talons are pretty much ended, so let's have a quick look-see at how we stand with all of the different factions. Honestly speaking, if we kill the Onyx Watch, which we will never do, of course, the Twin Guard will like us significantly more, although the Steel Striders probably won't so much. Of course, the issue is, the Steel Striders and the Twin Guard are the bestest of friends. I think it would simply do best to go against the Steel Striders, do as best as we can, and then take on the Twin Guard. Or maybe the other way around, since the Twin Guard are already very close to declaring war on us, fighting those first, and then the Steel Striders might be the more logical option. Although, to be honest, I've already fought against the Twin Guard before. The Steel Striders, however, are a brand new enemy. Okay, just to save time, let's quickly add a couple of the repair tentacles to the Word Bearer. This way, it can quickly make the Blood Altar. So many edgy names, I have to admit. Also, you are running out of fuel, which is really annoying, actually. There we go, pause time, fast forward, and the Blood Altar is being created. Once that is fully made, we can harvest this resource zone. Although you are also healing the hovers, which is something which is needed, so continue. Well, that's interesting. I don't believe that this is the main base of the Steel Striders, although it very well may be. So either way, we are definitely going against the Steel Striders, because even if this is not the main base, it's still a base defending a resource zone, which is definitely one of the more interesting things. Although I'm afraid I really am all out of time for today's episode. I really wanted to do some more battles, but if I look at the time right now, it's already 3 AM, and clearly I need to stop recording. So thank you so much for watching. In the next episode, we will go ahead and fight the Steel Striders. So if you have enjoyed today's video, as filler as it may be, then of course, likes, favourites, shares, comments, all that good stuff helps out me, helps out the channel, and most importantly, shows that From the Depths is a series you wish to see continued in the future. We now have one more resource zone, and in the next episode, we fight a brand new enemy, and hopefully we will have built a brand new craft. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you after the weekend. Goodbye.